Hi, I'm Logan DeVries with National Piling Products. Today we're going to be digging into an Intric D12 grout pump. First, we're going to dig into the grout section seal kit. A pretty good indicator to know when to replace your grout section seal kits is when you have grout coming out of these breather holes on the proximity sleeves. If there's oil coming out of there, then we know that, hey, we got to replace the hydraulic section as well, which we will go through. But for now, we're going to start with the grout section seals. So first, once you have your pump off of your grout unit, we can go ahead and take this transfer hose off. All right, first what we're going to want to do is take the 4 bolts off the top to expose this pressure block and the 4 bolts off the bottom. That's going to be a 19 mil. That's going to be your suction assembly, and then your valve and your ball and seats on the inside. We'll put that to the side. Now what you'll do is take a 14 mil Allen, pull these long bolts off. That'll expose your end block. All right, once you remove those Allens, you're just gonna go ahead and wiggle and pull this off. You might need to grab a hammer, like I'm gonna need to. And this is gonna be your end block. As you can see, that's pretty well full of grout. So we're just gonna go ahead right off the bat, get that cleaned up. All right, so once you have your end block off, what you're gonna wanna do is look inside your grout cylinder, and if it is packed full of grout like this one is, you're gonna wanna take an air chisel or a needle scaler or a hammer and a chisel and expose all these bolts. All right, once you clean out all the grout from inside, you'll be able to expose your 10 mil piston bolt in the center, and then your 5 mil Allens that connect your grout seals to your flat washer on the top. Go ahead and remove the 10 mil from the inside, and then you can go ahead and loosen your 5 mil Allens all the way around. Then that way you'll be able to pull off your grout cylinder and set it on the bench. You can go ahead and pull your grout cylinder off. You might have to pry a little bit, but it should just slide right off just like that. You can go ahead and set that right on the table. And that way you can remove those 5 mil Allens from that washer, and then you'll be able to pound your grout seals out of your grout cylinder. And then we'll clean out the grout cylinder, replace the seals, put it back together. All right, now that we got our grout seals exposed and out of our grout cylinder, as you can see, this is in need of replacement in the worst way. So what we'll do is we'll go ahead and just start removing these grout seals, get this piston all cleaned up, and get it ready for some new seals. All right, just for reference, here's your old seals that we took off the piston, and here's new seals that we'll replace once we get the piston cleaned up. After inspecting the flat washer that connects your grout seals to your piston, I'm going to go ahead and replace this due to excessive wear and tear and scuff marks from chip and grout and whatnot. All right, now that we got our new piston washer, what we're gonna do is take our new Grout seals, and once we start putting them on, the lip is gonna be facing up, and then so that means your white seal is always on the top. And what we're gonna do is put them down one by one, and between each and every seal, we're gonna pack it full of grease. All right, so besides the Grout seals, there's two more seals that we're going to replace while we're here. One being the washer seal for the piston bolt, and then the back side of the piston there's going to be a small washer that your rod will butt up to when you put it back on. All right, here's your new washer seal. We'll put that on the piston bolt. And then on the back side of this piston, I like to just flip it right upside down. Take that old O-ring out. Maybe clean it up just a little bit on the inside. And go ahead and put your new O-ring in the bottom. We can leave this piston sit here for now. We'll get everything else cleaned up, and then when we're ready, we'll go ahead and slide that back on with the grout cylinder onto the hydraulic rod. All right, now we're going to move on to our proximity sleeve. We're going to go ahead and get rid of these three 3mm Allen bolts that hold this proximity sleeve on. Just going to take this off, get it cleaned up, and move on from there. All right, so now that we got every piece of the grout section removed, I'm gonna go ahead and start inspecting everything, making sure we don't need anything beyond what we've got here. No new tubes or balls or seats or anything like that. I did right away notice on this grout cylinder, if you look on the inside, you can kind of see that it's all grooved out. You don't want any of that. You want to make sure that it's nice and smooth. If it's grooved out, it's going to start wrecking seals quicker than what you want. So I'm going to go ahead and replace this grout tube. So inspecting the grout balls, you can see here's an old one. It's all grooved out on the side, and it's just in pretty rough shape. So we're going to go ahead and replace it with a new. All right, so this is going to be your valve assembly, and one thing I do want to point out when you're inspecting and replacing O-rings, this valve assembly, these O-rings last quite a while. I'd say probably 1,000 pump hours, give or take some. You'll notice them start to leak, but these don't need to be replaced. I just like to clean them right up, re-grease them like crazy, and put them back in, and they're good to go. These are your ball seats. They're reversible. I just like to take a wire brush, clean them up. These are good to go too. This is your proximity switch sleeve or lubricating sleeve. This O-ring is actually part of the grout seal kit. So once I get this all cleaned up, I'm gonna go ahead and replace this one, a little bit of grease, and then that's what we can go ahead and shove onto the hydraulic block with those 3mm Allens that we took out of it. All right, so we'll go ahead and put this sleeve on. There is no O-ring in between the two pieces. Make sure you put your proximity switch sleeve facing the back. I'm doing it towards the back because this is the front of my pump, so my recirculation line comes out of the front, if you remember from the beginning. And then this is your water bypass to go back to your tank. So proximity sleeve to the back. We'll set that right on there. All right, now we can go ahead and put our grout tube on. First, prior to putting your grout tube on, whether it is new or used and still usable, if you don't have a honing device, which is this guy right here, I would recommend just figuring out a way to run some rags down, up and down, and just clean it out real good. All right, now that we got that all cleaned up, we're going to start putting our grout seals in here. If you remember the ones that we packed onto the piston. And again too, this is a washer seal that's in the grout bag. I like to slide that in there for now. Just go ahead, drop that right in there. I like to use a rubber mallet to kind of get it started, and then we can just pretty much start pushing that down. What you want to do is kind of eyeball where your hydraulic rod is. That's how far you want to go down. I always try to go just a little bit further. That way, when I hold it up to the rod, I can get that bolt started, get it kind of tight, and then you can start pushing your, you can kind of hammer your grout cylinder on and line it up, slide it right into the sleeve, and then we can tighten the interior bolts down. Go ahead and grab your 10 mil. I like to just set it in there like so. Now that I'm looking at it too, just another reminder. On the back side of your piston, there's that little O-ring. That's inside the grout seal kit as well. Don't forget that. All right, now that we tightened down that center bolt, we'll just look at the gap in between your grout cylinder and your sleeve. And before we tighten down those washer bolts, we'll just go ahead and start tapping this and try to get it lined up. Just like that. Now we can go ahead and tighten down those washer bolts on the inside. Okay, a few things about your end block. Number one, there's a seal on the inside here. That's also going to be part of your grout seal kit, so we'll get rid of that. We'll clean the groove out. We'll get a new one back in. I'm going to wire wheel on the inside. I like to wire wheel as much as possible. The less grout that's in it, or residual grout, the less it's going to be, more grout's going to adhere to it. So a couple other things too. Before we put our end block on, you'll notice the top and the bottom are different. This is bottom and this is top. So again, we're just going to clean everything out, get it all greased up. We'll go ahead and put it on. Here's your through bolts for your end block or your rods. I like to just clean the threads up a little bit, and then we'll go ahead and put the end block on, thread them on. Just makes it all easier. All right, now we'll go ahead and grab our end block. And we're just gonna kind of wiggle and push that guy on, just like that. Now we can grab our through bolts, get those started. And these are kind of the same as what I've been saying about in a sequence. We want to make sure we kind of go every other to really get the end block on nice and straight. We'll go ahead and grab our 14. All right, now that we got that done, we're just gonna move on to the valve section. We're just gonna go ahead and get all these cleaned up, as well as these guys, get these O-rings cleaned up again. These are part of a valve assembly seal kit. These are good forever, seems like. Unless you got leakage, then we can go ahead and get you a new set, but we're just gonna get those cleaned up. And again too, I got new balls for this section. The only other thing I like to do is get these wire wheeled, get these cleaned up, and we'll get it all cleaned up. We'll start assembling, greasing O-rings, and get it put back together. All right, now that we got everything cleaned up, we'll just go ahead and start assembling our valve assembly. So go ahead and start putting our valve seat down first. We've got our greased O-ring in the bottom there. We'll set that down. And now I'm gonna grease this here, get our next O-ring in. We'll set the ball in there, and then we can get the pressure block on the top. We'll grab our 19 mil and just tight on these, and we can move on to the bottom. All right, here's our bottom side assembly. That's what it looks like. We got the ball inside, got the O-rings greased, and we're just gonna go ahead and get 2 of the bolts started, and then we can get it tightened up on the bottom side. All right, and that's how you rebuild the grout section and hydraulic section of a D12 pump. If you guys got any questions or concerns, you can call me or Austin or whomever. Our numbers will be listed at the end of this video. If you guys need parts, give us a shout. Appreciate it.